Hi, so I am making a video today on things that people say to depress people. People with, but it can't, ugh, it's not just depressed people. Anyone with like mental illness, typically, ones that could cause you to be depressed at times. So I'm going to go down the list and do a little commentary after each thing. Okay. You should exercise. So let me tell you something about that. Okay, so exercise has been studied by medical doctors to be shown to help with, you know, giving you like good chemicals in your brain. I think like endorphins or something. Endorphins. I don't know. But it's supposed to help lift up your mood. But here's where the issue comes in. It's not an end all cure all. Like just because you did some jumping jacks and some push ups and ran around the block and ran a marathon and stuff like that, it doesn't mean like, oh my gosh, I'm cured. Oh my gosh, like depression, who's that? No. Just because you did some exercise, it brings temporary relief, but it doesn't like cure you. It's not gonna be like, oh, all I gotta do is just exercise 24/7 and I'll stay in a good mood. Like, who's gonna do that? So like, yeah, it is good temporarily and it helps you sleep. It helps your sleep, it helps your appetite, it helps you stay healthy, but it's not gonna cure you. You should stop being lazy, really. So, well, first of all, that's not nice. I'm all about being nice to people. Don't call people lazy. Okay. I call myself lazy though, but that's only because I am like self-deprecating. But anyway, when someone is depressed, a lot of their motivation goes away. Like, they sometimes may not shower as much as they used to, and like, or their other hygiene things like brushing their teeth, making sure their hair stays in good condition, things like that. Like their hygiene just basically goes out the window. Keeping up with their house a lot of times, or not even their house, sometimes even their own bedroom. Their bedroom could be like messy, and it's because like you lose motivation in life, and you lose motivation. And then also, it's not just motivation, it can also be like your energy levels, because when you're severely depressed, your energy levels get depleted. So it's almost like just getting out of bed feels like you're dragging yourself around. It's not so much about, oh, you're too sad to do this. No, it's not. It's physical. Like depression can affect you mentally and physically. So you physically feel so drained of energy. You feel dead and just drained that you don't keep up with things that you used to. I mean, you might call out of work a lot. You may stop showing up to class and school, different things like that. So calling someone lazy is just like, it's showing, you not being that educated and what this mental illness entails. I don't have depression, but I have bipolar disorder, which features, severe depression. And I have more severe depressed episodes than manic, but I I know what it's like, because I'll go several months in severe depression, and then I'll have like a few days in manic, and then back to severe depression. But I'll get more into it. You aren't trying hard enough. So it's something about that really bothers me. So when people are severely depressed, they just waking up each day, waking up, if they get out of bed, like to get something to eat, to get something to drink, to make sure they take care of at least their basic needs. Just doing that is like trying super hard. That is a huge accomplishment for someone who is going through something like that, because they're fighting against what they really want to do. What they really want to do is just like, most of the time, and I'm not trying to speak for everyone, I'm just speaking based on my experiences, like you just want to lay in bed all day. You just like, you kind of just don't have enthusiasm towards life, and if they even get dressed, if they made sure they ate that day, eaten that day at least once, if they made sure they gotten something to drink, if they leave the house, that's even like more of an accomplishment. It may sound simple to people who don't have to deal with stuff like this on a daily basis, but like even leaving the house is like worthy of applause, because it's so hard. It really is very difficult. So if they leave the house and go grocery shopping like they're supposed to, or go to their therapy or psychiatry appointments, or like go to visit someone, or just doing things like that is like, I don't know, I see it as like honorable in my eyes. Like I would congratulate someone and tell them that I'm proud of them if I knew that they push themselves to do something like that, because it's hard. It really is. Really? You don't look depressed. So there's something wrong with that, my friend, because everyone displays their depression differently. So someone with depression could be like, really like just down, just not, just like really, you can look at them and you can tell they're depressed. But then there's a lot of people that put on what I like to call a mask, and they put that mask on mainly around other people. When they're alone, they can be themselves, but they put this mask on, and this mask is, oh, I'm happy, oh, I'm outgoing, oh, I'm cheerful, oh, I'm smiling, oh, I'm giggling, but they really don't feel that way inside. On the inside, they just feel horrible, they feel depressed, they have no energy, but they like fake all this enthusiasm in order like to not be judged, in order to stop people from worrying about them, in order to not be looked at as a burden. Like there's so many different reasons, that people do it. But like just because someone does not look depressed does not mean that they are not depressed. Okay? All right. You got that through your head? Well, there's kids in Africa and third world countries that if I hear that one more time, I swear to goodness. Okay. Yes, it's unfortunate that things are going on that are totally unacceptable in third world countries. But when you say stuff like that to people who have a mental illness, an illness in their brain that they did not ask for. Nobody wakes up one day and they're like, oh, I'm going to go on Amazon and order a mental illness today. No, nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. But when you tell people stuff like that, it's almost like you're guilt tripping them. Like you're making them feel like they should be guilty about an illness that they have, and an illness that they did not wish for, do not want. They would do anything to get rid of it. And like, I feel like mental health is just as important as physical health. So like, would you say to someone with diabetes, oh, well, there's kids in Africa, like, come on, like, don't do that. Don't be like that. Well, you're just selfish. Ooh. So I'm going to tell you what's wrong with that. Yes, some people are selfish. Yeah, that's true. Some people are. But just because somebody is struggling with something that you cannot understand what they're going through, and even if you have a mental illness yourself, you don't know everybody's individual experience. So like, for instance, what's one of my diagnoses? I have borderline personality disorder. So I can meet somebody else with BPD and I can't say that I know their whole experience, because I don't. You don't know anyone's full experience, You could say, oh, I relate to some of the symptoms you go through, but I can never say that I understand exactly what they're going through, because I don't. And I never will, because it's their own personal experience. And so if you sit there, sorry, I had to look to see. If you sit there and tell someone that they're selfish, selfish means you're only thinking about yourself, and that's not true. Half of the time, most of the time, people are thinking about, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm being a burden to my parents. Oh my gosh, like, I feel like, you know, like all this other stuff that goes through your head. I feel like I'm not doing enough. I feel like I'm not, if someone has kids, I'm not being a good enough parent, you know? So it's not selfishness, it's just that we're going through something that you just are having trouble understanding. That's all. It's all in your head. Okay. It's all in my head. It's all in my head. Let me tell you something. It is in our heads. That's why it's called a mental illness, you dip. But like seriously, like when people say it's all in your head, I'm just like, there's like two things wrong with that. Like the first thing is technically, yeah, that's why it's called mental illness. But then also it's like people say that as like a dismissive factor, like, oh, it's all in your head. Like you could just like snap out of it and get over it. And like, the thing is, it's not just a thing of like a figment of, oh, it's all in your head. Like it's not real. Yes, it is. It's very real. I mean, it would not be medical studies on it. There will not be x-rays of people's brains, and it shows how their brains are different than people who don't have a certain disorder. It would not be so much evidence if it was just a thing that was like, oh, just a figment of your imagination all in your head type thing. Like there is scientific studies that back up mental illnesses. Oh, don't be sad. It's a beautiful day. Like you woke up. Not to bash any of my fellow Mary Poppins like people, but like you're, see, there's something, okay, I'm like tied, I'm conflicted. So it's good kinda to like try to be positive to someone who's depressed, like be like, oh, you know, it's beautiful outside, look at the sun and stuff like that, like trying to cheer someone up. But like at the same time, it could be counterproductive in a way because, you know, you're making a person feel like, oh, I have no right to be depressed because the sun is out and it's a beautiful day and I woke up. I should be glad that I woke up. You know, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna let you in a secret for people who don't really understand. A lot of people who are depressed, wait for it, they don't want to wake up. Now, I'm not speaking for everyone. I'm not speaking for everyone. Do not attack me. Please don't. Please, please, please. I'll give you a cookie. Okay, but like there's a huge percentage. I'm not saying everyone because I cannot include everyone. But there's a huge percentage of people who are depressed who have suicidal thoughts, or even if they're not suicidal, they just have thoughts of just not wanting to be here, you know? And so to say something like, oh, you should be glad you woke up, it's a beautiful day. And I get that a lot. All these things that I'm saying is stuff that people said to me before. So I'm not just saying this like reading off some random list. People have said this to me. Like, moving on to the next one. Happiness is a choice. Okay, oh, I feel like I'm like repeating myself now at this point. So happiness, that's tricky. That's tricky. Cause like, yes, if you do not have depression, it's super easy, you know, if you're feeling sad, to cheer yourself up. The problem with depression is it's like you can do all the things in the world to cheer yourself up, and it may cheer you up for a few minutes, it may just, but then it goes right back to severe depression. So like I could be severely depressed laying in bed and I'm like, hey, I should do something that's positive that will help me be happy. So I get out of bed, I pull out my sketchbook, I start drawing. Yeah, it kind of lifts me up a little bit, but then it just goes whoop, boom. You know, it doesn't, it's not going to make you happy. You know, you can't will yourself to happiness, in my opinion. I don't know, people are probably going to disagree with me, but I feel like you can't will yourself to happiness, especially when it comes to a mental illness. The way that you treat your mental illnesses is through either medication or either therapy or both. When you are deep in intensive therapy and when you're on medications that you need to be on, that will help you elevate your mood because you'll know how to cope with those negative emotions and you'll know how to cope with negative thoughts. And the therapy plays a huge role in like learning how to find your own happiness, and the medication kind of does too because the chemicals and stuff like that, but the therapy will help as well. What are you depressed about? One other thing I would like to say is like when you're depressed, when someone has depression, they don't need a reason. So many times, and it's so bad to like say that to someone because it just makes them feel even worse because they're like, I don't know why I'm depressed, what's wrong with me, something's wrong with me. Nothing is wrong with you. Nothing's wrong with you. You just have a disorder, illness, and it just needs to be treated, but that doesn't mean something's wrong with you. And I I feel like with the whole question, what are you depressed about? You don't have to have a reason. Sometimes people are depressed for a reason. They're like, oh, my mother died. I'm really depressed. My dog died. Lost my job. Got kicked out of school. They have reasons. But a lot of times when people go through depression and stuff, like they don't have a reason. They just feel awful. They feel like crap and they just feel overwhelmed and they just don't know why. They don't know why. And it can cause even more distress when you don't even know why you feel so horrible. And my last one is everybody gets depressed sometimes. So, I don't know how to word this without causing an uproar and causing like a bunch of people to attack me. I feel like there's a significant difference between depression and sadness. But okay, definitely everyone gets sad. A large amount of people get depressed. Not everyone gets depression. Being depressed can come from like what I said before, a family member dying, or you know, it could be caused by an event basically. And like the person could be like, oh my gosh, like I haven't eaten in a week because I just lost my cat, something like that. But they usually recover from that deep sadness. They recover from it. Now depression is an illness where your brain is not producing enough serotonin. It's not due to like life events or feeling, down and stuff like that, or the pandemic is causing me to like social distance and I really want to see humans and stuff. No, it's like it's an illness that is like a chemically induce, well, I don't know if induce is the word for it, but like it's because you're lacking chemicals in your brain basically. And that's something that isn't caused by external factors, it's caused by internal factors, by your brain's biology. So to say everyone gets depressed sometimes is really diminishing it. And a lot of times the people that say that, they don't recognize depression as an illness. They think it's just people who are exaggerating their sadness. And depression is a lot more than just sadness. It's a symptom, but a lot of times people with depression, they actually don't feel sad. They feel angry or they feel numb or they switch between all three of those. They feel angry, sometimes they feel nothing, sometimes they feel deeply sad. It's also physical, the physical symptoms like, I'm not eating, I'm eating too much, I'm losing a bunch of weight, I'm gaining a bunch of weight, I'm not sleeping, I'm sleeping too much, it causes major life changes too. So it's like so much to it. Sometimes people get like pain that comes with it, like chronic pain and like all kinds of things. So thank you for coming to my TED Talk. No, Thank you for watching my video. If you watched it to the end, I am super grateful. And like, I make a lot of videos like this, so be free, feel free, be free too, but feel free to, like, you know, subscribe if you want or not. Okay.